Welcome back. If you're lost, you know what to do. If this is on YouTube, you can just look at the other one. If this is on Facebook, you're gonna have to go on YouTube and just search for Pragmatic Pope and look for this ugly mug. Really, it's the internet. You guys are all smart. If you're watching this, you probably know me, and that means you're intelligent enough to know how to find it. Sorry it's been a while. Kind of being a Gemini, flip floppy, depression, blah 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 blah, lose fucking interest in things. And recently, I've been communicating, and a few people have told me that they miss it. So it's nice to know that I actually have an audience. I'm being listened to. Anyways, you may remember that there was some things in the sky. Do we know there's things in the sky? Yeah, we know there's things in the sky. We know that Ford Prefect's not actually from Earth, but actually from a planet in the vicinity of Betelgeuse, which was before the frickin' cartoon and movie and all that, because this book is 81, I believe. Or no, like the original radio series is like 78, so like it goes way back, way before Betelgeuse. But anyways, and it's not even spelt the same. It's probably where they got the idea, because it really does phonetically sound good. Anyways, I'll say that about 12 more anyways before we actually get on with this. Anyways, I've ascertained, that's for the kids fans. I mean kids in the hall, obviously. Anyways, so yeah, there's things, and the Sensei-matic is going on. Jordan Banks goes stuff, they're nice relaxing cup of tea. And now we cut back to Arthur and Ford. "You got a towel with you," said Ford suddenly to Arthur. Arthur, struggling through his third pint, looked at him. "Why? What? No, should I have?" He had given up being surprised. There didn't seem to be at any point any longer. Ford clicked his tongue in irritation. "Drink up," he urged. At that moment, the dull sound of a rumbling crash from outside filtered through the low murmur of the pub, through the sound of the jukebox, through the sound of the man next to Ford hiccuping over the whiskey Ford had eventually bought him. Arthur choked on his beer, leapt to his feet. "What's that?" he yelped. "Don't worry," said Ford. They haven't started yet." "Oh, thank God for that," said Arthur, and relaxed. "It's probably just your house being knocked down," said Ford, downing his last pint. "What?" shouted Arthur. Suddenly Ford's spell was broken. Arthur looked wildly around him and ran to the window. "My God, They're knocking my house down! What the hell am I doing in the pub, Ford?" "It hardly makes any difference at this stage," said Ford. "Let them have their fun." "Fun!" yelped Arthur. "Fun!" He quickly checked out the window again to make sure that they were talking about the same thing. "Damn their fun!" he shouted and ran out of the pub, fiercely waving at a nearly empty beer glass. He made no friends at all in the pub that lunchtime. "Stop, you vandals! You homewreckers!" bawled Arthur. "You half-crazed Visigoths! Stop, will you?" Ford would have to go after him. Turning quickly to the barman, he asked for 4 more packets of peanuts. "There you are, sir," said the barman, slapping the packets on the bar. 28 pence, if you'd be so kind." Ford was very kind. He gave the barman another £5 note and told him to keep the change. The barman looked at it and then looked at Ford. He suddenly shivered. He experienced a momentary sensation that he didn't understand because no one on Earth had ever experienced it before. In moments of great stress, every life form that exists gives out a tiny subliminal signal. The signal simply communicates an exact and almost pathetic sense of how far that being is from the place of his birth. On Earth, it is never possible to be further than 16,000 miles from your birthplace, which isn't really that far. So such signals are too minute to be noticed. Ford Prefect was at this moment under great stress, and he was born 600 light years away, near the vicinity of Betelgeuse. The barman reeled for a moment, hit by a shocking and incomprehensible sense of distance. He didn't know what it meant, but he looked at Ford Prefect with a new sense of respect, almost awe. "Are you serious, sir?" he said in a small whisper, which had the effect of silencing the pub. "You think the world's going to end?" "Yes," said Ford. "But this afternoon?" Ford had recovered himself. He was at his flippest. "Yes," he said gaily. "In less than 2 minutes, I would estimate." The barman couldn't believe this conversation he was having, but he couldn't believe the sensation he had just had either. "Isn't there anything we can do about it, then?" he said. "No, nothing," said Ford, stuffing the peanuts into his pocket. Someone in the bar Someone in the hushed bar suddenly laughed raucously at how stupid everyone had become. The man sitting next to Ford was a bit sozzled by now. His eyes weaved their way up to Ford. I thought, he said, that if the world was going to end, we were meant to lie down or put a paper bag over our head or something. Yes, if you like, said Ford. That's what they told us in the army, said the man. And his eyes began the long track back towards his whiskey. Will that help? Asked the barman. No, said Ford, and gave him a friendly smile. Excuse me, he said. I've got to go. With a wave, he left. The pub was silent for a moment longer, and then, embarrassingly enough, the man with the raucous laughter did it again. The girl he had dragged along to the pub with him had grown to loathe him dearly over the last hour, and it would probably have been a great satisfaction to her to know that in a minute and a half or so he would suddenly evaporate into a whiff of hydrogen, ozone, and carbon monoxide. However, when the moment came, she would be too busy evaporating herself to notice it. The barman checked his throat. His head. Fuck. The barman checked his throat. He heard himself say, Last orders, please. The huge yellow machines began to sink downwards and to move faster. Ford knew why they were here. This wasn't the way he had wanted it.